Today on the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement.
We are going to discuss the lessons you've learned that help you get to a better place today.
And on our Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the unpredictable year we've had in 2020 and why it is a year of huge change.
And on our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to discuss the upcoming presidential election and what it means to you and your money.
So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Slagle Show starts now.
I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better.
You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches.
I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and apply them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement.
Welcome into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm Wendy Erickson here with the coach, Chad Slagle. Today on the Clipboard segment, we're going to discuss the lessons you've learned that help you to a better place today.
Yeah, that's right, Wendy. You know, one thing we've all done, probably today, maybe yesterday, is whether we want to admit it or not, we've all texted while we're driving. It's something I'm guilty of course. And most of us have thought that responding to a text was worth taking our eyes off the roads for a few seconds. But what can happen in that time? You look back up and you have to slam on your brakes or swerve to avoid something or someone. Maybe you're veering into another lane or even off of the road. Those seconds can be costly. And those close calls or near misses always make you realize how the worst scenario, like rolling your car into a ditch or running over a pedestrian in a crosswalk, could have changed your life. We've all had these near misses that leave our heart racing and head shaking, where we promise ourselves we will not be that stupid again. Usually we learn from these scary instances and think twice before doing them again. Recently, a lot of you had a near miss with your portfolio, with your hard-earned dollars. In March of this year, the market dropped a whopping 37% in a very short period of time. Luckily, the market has recovered. But have you learned your lesson? We don't know what the markets are going to look like come this winter. We still are in the midst, of course, of the pandemic that we're in right now. We're about to go through a presidential election. Most economists predict markets will be pretty steady until the election is over. But after that, they may be very volatile depending on who wins the election. Either way, you cannot afford another near miss with your hard-earned dollars, monies that it's taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate.
Heart racing, you mentioned, with any of these things, and I think that's what a lot of people think of when talking about this pandemic, or 2008, when a lot of our friends were losing jobs, and we're back in that scenario. And so I think the lesson that I've personally learned is I've got to be flexible and I've got to be prepared for anything.
I think the key word there, Wendy, is prepared. You have to be prepared. You can't afford another 30 to 40% drop when it comes to your money. You have to be prepared when you're driving. Put the phone down. It's not that important. You can wait till you stop to take a look at your text. But again, these are lessons that we learn from. You know, I talk all the time. It's not about the successes that drive us. It's the failures or the mistakes that we made. So these are mistakes that you have to learn from. And we're going to talk today on the show, we're going to talk about the unpredictable year we've had here in 2020. And later on, we're going to talk about the elections. If President Trump stays in office, what will happen to the economy, or what they think will happen to the economy, what we say happening, or if Biden gets in, what happens to the economy. So we'll talk about some different scenarios and ways that you can set your portfolio up so you're proactive, not reactive, regardless of who gets into office or who stays in office.
And we'll probably talk about the fact that we can't predict what's going to happen.
We cannot predict, that's right.
So we have to be flexible and prepared.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, when we return on the Coach's Corner, we are going to discuss the unpredictable year we've had in 2020 and why it is a year of huge change. We'll be right back.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri, at our Creve Coeur and Sunset Hills offices, or in Illinois at our Edwardsville, Springfield, and Jacksonville locations. So call now to get set up on the right path on your journey through retirement.
Welcome back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are back with the coach, Chad Slagle, and his colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the unpredictable year we've had in 2020 and why it is a year of huge change.
Huge change. That's right, Wendy. There's a lot of uncertainty about who will win, of course, the presidential and congressional elections here in November. What the results, of course, will mean for you, your individual finances and investments, and really it's anyone's guess, but many of you are thinking about it. In fact, 72% of Americans believe whoever is elected to the White House will directly impact their personal finances, according to a survey released by personal finance website Finance Buzz in January. And 32% are putting off a big financial decision until Election Day. Unfortunately, we see this way too often, Chad, with pre-retirees and retirees that we have recently, met with or are meeting with now, really, or been in touch with, via the phone, of course, and our Zoom meetings. But you cannot afford to put your life on hold because of today's politics, Chad, especially today with the way politics and social media are and the news and how we get it.
Yeah, and I think, if what happened earlier this year with everything's going on, now is the time to really act and be proactive. And if you haven't made some changes and earlier this year made you uncomfortable, now you've got to be making some changes previous to this election to be proactive and protect yourself.
All right, well, let's help folks out and talk about some of those changes.
So, of course, why do you not have to make changes? As we talked about, what do you have to learn from the mistakes that you've made? Of course, this year, in March of this year, we are all aware of the cause for the big market drop or crash in March of this year, which all started because of the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 9th, the Dow fell 2,013 points in one day, or almost 8%. This was the Dow's worst single-day point drop, Chad, in U.S. market history. So it can actually drop that fast.
And that was just one day. If we look at, the highest it got on February 12th, the Dow reached 29,551 points. And by March 23rd, it had dropped down to 18,600. So you mentioned the one day. We also look at about a 30-day period, and the Dow dropped over 37% in just a month.
A 40% drop. So if you think about that, easy math, if you have $1 million, you lost 40% of your money. You're now down to $600,000, $400,000, as Chad mentioned, in a little over a 30-day period.
Well, as a pre-retiree, that day is fresh in my mind. Very scary. People are worried about their health, and now that the financial situation adds to that for sure. But things are doing better recently, thank goodness.
Yes, of course, we've had a return. Since that lowest point, as Chad just mentioned, on the Dow of 18,591 points on March 23rd this year, the market had bounced back and returned tremendously. The Dow has reached over 28,000, getting close to where it was before the whole pandemic began, getting back over 34% of what is lost, as Chad mentioned, in that 35-day period. The problem is many people put their money on the sidelines and missed out on the gain. So you get scared, you put it all in cash, and you lost all that money. But now the market came back. Instead of being proactive, you were being reactive, and you didn't get back a lot of those losses. And that's what you cannot afford to do, especially, as you mentioned, Wendy, as you get closer to retirement or when you do retire.
Yeah, and I think, so often what we get ourselves in trouble with is we allow our emotions to take over when it comes to investing our hard-earned dollars. And, right now what we're seeing is people are still panicking. Even though, Wendy, you mentioned that we've had a comeback in the market and everybody's happy, but a lot of investors are panicking because what's ahead? Here in a couple months, the election is around the corner, and that's causing some panic as well.
Yeah, we can only hope the market continues to go up, but a lot of people, like you said, are wondering about this election, who's going to win and how is it going to affect my money?
So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about if President Trump wins, if he stays in office, there are two outcomes we can expect if the current president is reelected based on how Congress changes. If Congress turns red, there will be an enormous push to raise revenue on foreign entities through tariffs and trade deals. Support will likely swing towards American-made products, causing American manufacturing to make a comeback. And hopefully, Chad, for the most part, for now, keep taxes down a little bit, at least until 2026.
Yeah, and I think, we can expect a lot of the corporate taxes and hopefully bringing a lot more jobs back here in America. I mean, that's something that, I think President Trump has been trying to do for the last 3 to 4 years. And so these are some things I think we can expect things to kind of continue as we've seen over the last 3 to 4 years in that regard.
What about the other outcome?
The other outcome, if Biden wins, we can expect the income tax system to be overhauled and moved in a more progressive direction. Of course, this will put more of the financial burden on the wealthy with higher tax rates for higher earners. In the case of a Biden presidency and a blue Congress, we can expect a full overhaul of the entire tax code, probably almost immediately, including likely changes to estate and inheritance taxes, and even the possible implementation of a national sales tax. So that's something that you have to expect that would be coming down the pipe if Biden were to get elected.
Yeah, and I think, this is something that kind of has some question marks about your own hard-earned dollars and where taxes go from here, and really how blue Congress is going to get some of these tax dollars back. So I think, the end of the day is you have to have a plan, whether Trump wins or if Biden wins, you have to have a plan and be proactive to protect yourself.
And unfortunately, Wendy, these are things we cannot control other than the vote that you or I have. So you really want to be proactive and not reactive and really have the game plan no matter who gets into office or who stays in office.
Have a plan. Good information. Well, to download our free white paper today about the value of an objective opinion, visit slagelfinancial.com/empoweryou. Coming up on Chalk Talk, we're going to discuss the upcoming presidential election a little bit more and what else it means for you and your money.
Let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this or I didn't make this team. That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. So we just discussed the unpredictable year we've had thus far in 2020 and why it is a year of huge change. Now we want to go ahead and discuss what this upcoming presidential election means to you and your money.
Think about this. You are the president. You are the commander-in-chief of your own finances, regardless of who is in the White House. So it is crucial to focus on what you can control rather than what politicians or pundits say will happen or what they're predicting will happen. You have to control what you can control. And this includes determining your savings rate, how much you're going to put away, your discretionary spending, your asset allocation, your estate planning, and more. While markets could be volatile, being proactive about identifying your financial goals and how to achieve them can help you ride out the ups and downs, ride out the storms, which of course we had a big storm as we've been talking about, Chad, with the big crash of 37% starting in February, then of course into March.
Yeah, and I think right now at this time, a lot of people are out there making rash decisions just because of the upcoming election. And I think, that's something, it's allowing those emotions to really take over as opposed to having that game plan and being proactive with it.
I like the sound of being commander-in-chief of my finances, but how do I go about doing that?
How do you do that, right? Well, number one, do not base your retirement plan on speculation. Don't guess.
First, you need to take a step back and put your personal feelings to the side. Think about the last election, the night of 2016 election. As more states began reporting and a Trump victory became increasingly likely, we actually had people calling our office. Stock market futures sank rapidly. The S&P 500 fell more than 5% pre-market trading, triggering a circuit breaker to halt trading. However, by the time the market closed the day after the elections, the market was actually up. The index was actually up 1%. So all the freaking out was really for nothing.
Well, and I think, historically we look at this and volatility in the stock market, the couple months leading up to the election, it's normal. And the reason is because when you think logically, the markets do not like any uncertainty. So, we have to expect volatility, this month, next month, and into that month of the election as well.
All right, so do not speculate, do not guess, right?
Do
That's
not
a good
guess,
thing.
that's
okay.
right.
All right, what is another thing that we can do to take control of our retirement?
As we talk about all the time on this show, as you get closer to retirement, be proactive. In other words, avoid being reactive. Bailing out of investments at the height of the COVID-19 crisis is a perfect example of costing investors billions of dollars in savings. They did this, of course, because they reacted when the market dropped so drastically. We got scared. What can be equally as damaging is known as decision paralysis, overanalyzing a situation to the point where investors are struck by fear. In other words, you have all these different things around you telling you what to do with your money, and you're so scared to make a decision, you do absolutely nothing. So again, you want to build the plan. Doesn't matter who gets into office, who stays into office, doesn't matter whether the market goes up or down. Again, you want to build that plan on where you're at now, what your goals are for retirement, what kind of income you have to have in retirement, and be proactive and stick to that plan. Because here's the thing, when you retire, over the next 25, 35 years of your retirement, the market's going to go up and the market's going to go down. But you have to be proactive and build the game plan knowing that the market is going to be volatile.
Yeah, and I think when you do that, a lot of people may say that, where do we start? But I think the very first thing that many of you, if you're getting ready to retire, you've already retired, is you got to look at reducing the risk in your overall investments, in your portfolio, to really understand how comfortable you are in another downturn of the market. And most importantly, probably of that is making sure your income is going to come in regardless throughout the rest of your life, regardless of the market going up or down. So reducing your risk and making sure your income, you have your family pension in place.
We talk about that risk, Wendy. Have an analysis done on your portfolio. In other words, if this market has another 20 to 30% correction after the election, the way your money's set up right now, how much would you lose? And that's just about educating yourself and knowing what those numbers are. And as you mentioned, Chad, when you retire, what kind of lifestyle you're going to have in retirement, what kind of income you need, and how your money's invested. Will that income last throughout the rest of your life? Again, doesn't matter if the market goes up or the market goes down.
Being proactive, not reactive.
Yes.
All right, what's the last thing that we should all do?
Well, number three, I guess we're on here. We know this is all going to happen. The pandemic, the stimulus, the government has done what they have to do to help people out in this time when basically everything's shut down. So we know taxes are coming. Taxes are going to go up. It's already baked in, of course, to the current legislation that tax rates will likely go up in 2026 to what they were back in 2017. So now is a good time to start thinking about tax strategies. Also, again, as we mentioned, with the big stimulus packages going through, we're going to end up paying this in the future. Somebody's going to have to pay this back. You and I as investors in the form of higher taxes. So a couple things you can do to prepare for that now, whether it be 2025, 2026, is a lot of your qualified monies, IRAs, 401ks, when you retire, you can start positioning some of that money into what's called a Roth IRA. Yes, you're going to pay taxes now, but you're going to pay a lot lower rate than what they're going to be in 2025, 2026, and later on, when again, whether you want to or not, if you don't need that money, it doesn't matter. The government's going to make you start drawing that money out in the form of required minimum distributions.
Yeah, and I think, that Roth conversion strategy is one we've been talking to a lot of clients about. And number two, we talk about the legacy optimization. This is another strategy that we're looking at, that qualified money and how to kind of get that money out over the next 5 years that we feel we have that opportunity to create tax-free benefits for your family, to give you some long-term care protection for health care, to also potentially draw tax-free income if you need it for income down the road. So, this legacy optimization or Roth conversion, it's all about putting a tax strategy in place.
All right, good advice. To download our free white paper today with some more advice about the value of an objective opinion, visit slagelfinancial.com/ empower you. We want to make sure you don't miss that. When we come back on our strategy play, the Chads are going to show you how to be the commander-in-chief of your own retirement. Stay with us.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money than it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri, at our Creve Coeur and Sunset Hills offices, or in Illinois at our Edwardsville, Springfield, and Jacksonville locations. So call now to get set up on the right path on your journey through retirement.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to show you how to be the commander-in-chief of your retirement. I think that's what's most important, Chad. You have to educate yourself, know where you are now with your money, and know what you want to accomplish in retirement. Unfortunately, a lot of people, as they get closer to retirement, they really don't think about it until all of a sudden the day comes.
Yeah, and I think it's so important, to not go at this alone and have a team that you can kind of lean on and really guide you through this thing called retirement.
Especially nowadays with the economy and with everything that's going on. And we talk about how can you be the commander-in-chief of your retirement. We think about the president, the commander-in-chief, and who he surrounds himself with. The cabinet's role is to advise the president on any subject he may require relating to the duties, of course, of each member's respective office. In other words, he has the Secretary of Defense, he has the Secretary of Treasury, he's got a VP, he's got an Attorney General, and of course, his main person that he goes to, his right-hand person, if you will, is going to be that Secretary of State.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this, the president doesn't have to know everything. He doesn't have to have every answer. But what he has is he's got a very strong team that he can lean on in times that he needs help. And I think at the end of the day, he's going to make that final decision, but he's going to utilize that team to bring him that information to make the best decision.
And you know what, Chad, I think about our clients all the time and what this means to them. Our clients, we ask them all the time, how involved do you want to be in your financial decisions? And they tell us all the time, well, I don't want to have to watch it each and every day, but I want to know what's going on. So when it comes to your finances, when it comes to retirement, it's a lot more than just your investments. You have to surround yourself with a lot of people. Of course, you have you, which is the commander-in-chief. Then you have your right-hand person, which is your retirement specialist, kind of like your financial quarterback, if you will. And then they coordinate all these other positions. Maybe you need to have your estate plan set up for wealth transfer. Maybe you need to have that CPA to make sure you have those tax strategies and they're coordinating with the income that you have coming in. And maybe you have it set up where, hey, I have enough income to last throughout the rest of our life. We're going to be okay. We want to make sure these assets are passed on to our kids and our grandkids in the most tax-efficient manner. So it's not just about having that financial planner. It's about surrounding yourself with those other phases and pieces of the puzzle, Chad.
Yeah, and what I don't see here is, different tools and mutual funds and stocks or any of that where a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I'm just going to do this and it's going to kind of solve everything. This is really a team surrounding you to put yourself in the most successful position to make your retirement successful.
To get more detailed information on these strategies and how they can work for you, call us now to schedule your 5-point inspection at 888-294-9248 or email us at info@schlegelfinancial.com. And that's this week's strategy play. Stay with us. We'll be right back with some of the key takeaways from today.
Your host and coach, Chad Slagle, and join
I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes.
When it comes to your health, your life, your family, your home, and your hard-earned dollars. Of course, you want to make sure you're working with that sharp, energetic, knowledgeable individual that is always looking out for your best interest.
On such short notice, appreciate it. Thanks.
It's time to get your financial house in order. This is the new age of retirement planning.
In the Wall Street world, that's what they talk about. You got to have
Now back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through
We
retirement.
are Slagle Financial. Call now, 888-294-9248. I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and applied them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We've covered a lot today. What would you say, Chad, are some of the key takeaways?
Number one, understand that you are in charge. You are the commander-in-chief of your finances, but you have to make sure you surround yourself with that team to advise you every step of the way on this journey through retirement. Number two, understand the different tax strategies that could benefit you and your family in retirement and take advantage of those. And number three, do not base your retirement plan on speculation. Be proactive, not reactive.
And one more reminder to download our free white paper today about the value of an objective opinion. Visit slaglefinancial.com/empoweryou. Well, Slagle Financial and their team of advisors have educational events coming up in your area to make sure you are prepared for today's retirement. For more information and to sign up for one of these events, call 888-294-9248 or visit chadslagleshow.com.
Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Slagle Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague, Chad Tobin, my co-host, Wendy Erickson, this is the coach, Chad Slagle. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.